Hello again, I am Blunty, and something of note happened in Nintendo World today. Well, several cool things were announced at a Nintendo Direct held this morning, but the thing I'm talking about, and the thing that's happening right now, is an at bloody last moment as far as the Wii U Virtual Console goes. Today, we finally start getting Nintendo 64 and Nintendo DS games on the Wii U Virtual Console, and they're kicking it off with, of course, Super Mario 64, Donkey Kong 64, Mario Kart DS, and WarioWare Touched. I snatched up Mario Kart 64 and Mario Kart DS pretty much immediately the moment they appeared on the store, partly because they're fantastic games, iconic games, and partly because I was curious to see how well they work on the Wii U Virtual Console. Especially so how well the very low resolution dual screen games would work on the TV and or gamepad combo of the Wii U. And we'll get to that, but first a quick look at Mario 64, and it is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it is the first time, at least legitimately, we've been able to play it from something that spits out a super clean and crispy high-def HDMI feed. I'm not forgetting something obvious, am I? It is just up-resed, of course, not remastered in HD or anything, as is the way of the Virtual Console. It is pretty much pure emulation of the untainted original code. Anyway, it plays just as it should, and despite the low resolution scaled up to 1080p, it still looks quite lovely, very clean, very crisp, very pleasant. And of course, you can play it on the TV or gamepad as you'd expect. Now then, onto the DS games. Of particular interest here are two main factors. One, how the two screens and various kinds of touch input and device orientation are handled, and two, how tolerable games running at just 256 by 192 pixels look running on a big 1080p screen. To the first question, well, Nintendo have actually been pretty smart and thoughtful about it, offering a range of different display and orientation options for you to pick from depending on what works best for each individual game you might be playing. Now, unlike 3DS games, where the big 3D top screen is almost exclusively where the main action takes place, for obvious reasons, it's bigger, it's high resolution, it's in 3D, with DS games, both screens are essentially the same, so either the top or bottom screens were used for the core focus of various games, and this also varied whether or not touch was the main input type as opposed to the physical controls, so you really do need some appropriate options here, otherwise they just wouldn't work. And even beyond that, a few games on the DS wanted you to hold the DS sideways, and here too there's a relatively elegant solution for that. And it does seem to work quite nicely. Obviously some of these options aren't ideal for my Mario Kart game I'm demonstrating here, but you get the point. Now, as far as how it looks, well, you can be the judge of that for yourself if you're watching this video in 1080p, but for me, the pretty extreme pixelization up on the big screen with the 256 by 192 resolution stretched all the way out to 1920 by 1080, 1920 by 1080, or even a portion thereof when you're showing both screens on the screen at the same time, well, it's less than pretty, isn't it? But it's not difficult to adjust to, really. It was literally within just a couple of minutes I was merely absorbed into playing the game. I wasn't worried about the resolution anymore. But then again, I grew up with low pixel counts. You bratty, spoiled kids these days who chuck a shit fit if every console game isn't launched at 1080p 60 FPS may think it's too ugly to play. That's your loss as far as I'm concerned. Meanwhile, old schoolers like me know very well that gameplay trumps resolution, and that's exactly what's going on here. I am bloody loving playing Mario Kart DS up on my TV. It sounds wonderful too, certainly better than it ever did through the little DS speakers. So I'm calling it thusly. Nintendo 64 games fall exactly within expectations, no shock, no surprise there, joined with a small sigh of relief that at least some of the superb library from those days will see a new chance at legitimate playtime outside of occasionally pretty damn janky emulators or maintaining a physical collection of cartridges and hardware. That is the joy of the Virtual Console after all. And on the DS side of things, same thing, but with the added sprinkling of joy seeing how well it's been handled. I hope against hope that the DS Pokemon games make an appearance here, but most of us know it'll probably never happen because the Virtual Console would break the somewhat essential connectivity and trading features of the Pokemon games, if it was just done through more or less pure emulation as the Virtual Console titles are. Oh well, a trainer can dream, can't he? So, have you tried out the new Nintendo 64 or DS Virtual Console stuff? What do you think they could have done better? What would you have done differently? And what games do you hope to see brought back to life? Or more vitally, I suppose, what Nintendo 64 and Nintendo DS games are you prepared to pay for again for the chance to play through them on a big screen fed with crispy HDMI? Thanks for watching. I am Blunty, and I will catch you next time.